Now, peace through strength and America first are more than slogans, at least as far as the EU is concerned. Trump's new national defense strategy appears to leave the bloc to its own devices. Now, the unclassified document asserts that the EU will now need to handle its security on its own.
Although we are and will remain engaged in Europe, we must and will prioritize defending the U.S. homeland and deterring China. The department will therefore incentivize and enable NATO allies to take primary responsibility for Europe's conventional defense with critical but more limited U.S. support. This includes taking the lead in supporting Ukraine's defense. As President Trump has said, the war in Ukraine must end. As he has also emphasized, however, this is Europe's responsibility first and foremost.
Now, what does the document say? Well, the U.S. intends to maintain its military and economic dominance in the Americas. The paper calls for U.S. war industry to redesign and retool arms manufacturing so that advanced munitions can be produced rapidly. Now, an entire section is dedicated to burden sharing between U.S. allies, which instructs NATO members to defend themselves in the event of an attack from Russia. Now, while South Korea's primary objective will be to deter its northern neighbor, and Israel and Washington's partners from the Persian Gulf are expected to confront Iran. Now, the U.S. has already started implementing its plan for the Americas with the abduction of President Nicolas Maduro earlier this month. In North America, tensions with Canada have also been escalating, with Trump threatening Ottawa with 100% tariffs over its deal with China. And Trump's pursuit to annex Greenland is now sowing discord among the European members of Parliament. Let's cross now live to Armando Mema, former candidate for the European Parliament, a Finnish National Conservative Freedom Alliance party member. Thank you so much for joining me right now, Armando. Now, what is your reaction to Trump's new national defense strategy?
Good evening from Finland. Thank you for inviting me. It reminds me of when Russia said during the presidential election for the United States that Russia does not have any hope that the new U.S. administration will change its foreign policy. And it turned out to be exactly like Russia said before, that not much will change under President Trump in terms of foreign policy. This document comes to me personally as a surprise because President Trump also during his first presidential term, he was working to restore dialogue with Russia, but this now appears to be a continuation of what was Biden administration foreign policy regarding Russia. In the document, they look at Russia as a tangible threat for the future. And at the same time, the U.S. administration believe that they can have the situation under control regarding the war in Ukraine. In the document, it is specified that the Europe allies will have to increase their military budget, and the U.S. administration considers Europe allies as the free riders. And Trump administration is trying to make Europe pay more for the defense. As it is written in the document, President Trump does not want to exit NATO. Rather, he wants to strengthen it through allies spending more. And they also discuss Iran, North Korea, and China. China is being seen as the main biggest threat so far for the United States. As of Russia, it is considered a threat, but they see it, unfortunately, for the situation in Ukraine under control. Then, yes, they discussed North Korea and the Asia. and it is kind of a surprise that President Trump is not changing much the approach toward Russia in this document.
All right, now seeing this document and the events around Greenland, what can you say about the future of NATO? What are you interpreting?
What I see is President Trump is trying to kill politically the EU leadership in terms of what is remained from the pro-Biden administration. I don't think he will intervene militarily in Greenland. I rather think that he might be pressurizing the allies to give up on Greenland, so to make some sort of deal with Denmark on it. And I find unrealistic that he will use force, or there will be clashes between two NATO allies. So I think it's a strategy for Trump to put more pressure on Europe so they can buy more weapons from America to defend themselves. And yes, is also President Trump wants to build a golden dome for air defense security. So this is one of the reasons I assume he wants to take over Greenland.
Now, with these developments, for how much longer do you see the EU being able to support Ukraine in the conflict without the US arming and supporting Ukraine?
Europe is facing a big challenge in terms of providing the money for sustaining this war. I think that the negotiation in Abu Dhabi, there seem to be positive, and there seem to be some positive result. It might be that the Zelensky regime is finding in a very difficult situation when it cannot recruit more people for the army, and at the same time the European leaders are probably telling him that we have economic problem, we cannot sustain this war for long, so you will need eventually to negotiate with Russia. But at the same time, I think that the United States has some sort of interest to continue Biden war, to weaken Russia strategically. So they kind of playing on multiple sides, and Europe, of course, is rearming itself, and this is absolutely is dangerous. It seems that the war gonna continue, but let's see how the negotiation in Abu Dhabi will end up. It seems to be a second round coming next week. The Donbass issue seems to be the most complex in the negotiation, as I understood.
All right, with this pressure now, do you think this will prompt the EU to be more accommodating, for instance, on territorial concessions by Ukraine?
That is the very problem. Europe does not want to negotiate or give any territorial concession to Russia, and this has been one of the main problem of obstacling peace talks with Russia, because there is this wrong idea that Europe somehow can impose pressure on Russia, can impose the terms of how the negotiation should be done, and they don't want to negotiate any territory to Russia. And in negotiation, it doesn't work like that. You have to see what one side can offer to the other, and maybe you can be able to move forward. Unfortunately, Europe has double standard on territorial integrity. So if it's about Ukraine, they're not willing to make any concession. But if it's about Greenland or Venezuela or other countries, they are more willing to negotiate with the United States. So all the international community can see this, and they should be more realistic and try to end this conflict, specifically because the situation can run out of control. So this is, I think, is the biggest mistake that both Europe and America are making, that they are mining the peace talks, thinking that we have the situation under control. But what if there is a huge escalation and then you cannot control that anymore? So then you will have a direct clash with Russia, and that's the most frightening scenario.
Now, in general, it seems Trump is attempting to change the current world order. The question now is, how irreversible is this process? And are these processes something the next administration could rewind?
Yeah, I think it's true that President Trump is trying to bypass the international organization like the United Nations. One example is the Board of Peace, and as he mentioned, he said that I do not care about international law, I care about my moral. So he is definitely trying to reshape the order, but at the same time, it's kind of a wishful thinking, because he's in front of other big powers like China, Russia, and rising powers like India, and so it cannot change the structure of the multipolar world, no matter how tough his administration might be. The world is multipolar and probably will continue to be like this for long. The question for the US administration should be how to cooperate and collaborate with the multipolar world, because we live no longer in the rule-based order. The United Nations Charter is not being respected. All the norms, the international norms, have taken place by being replaced by the law of who is stronger. So if you have the military and you can do whatever you want, you're doing it, but that's not how the founding fathers of the United Nations imagined our world to be. Specifically coming from the Second World War, they wanted to work to build a more peaceful world. And this idea of peace through strength, in my view, is unrealistic, especially when you have countries like China that have such a big technology and military power. They can strike with ballistic missiles anywhere in the world. The world has changed since then, and you can no longer, the United States has been the main power, superpower in the world, but this now has changed. So does the US administration wants to collaborate and cooperate with the multipolar world, or does it want to have a position of imperialism and hegemony? Is the question.
Okay, that's a big question that we live here now. Armando Mema, former candidate for the European Parliament and Finnish National Conservative Freedom Alliance party member, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Great.